Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're an Illinois homeowner currently staring down a boiler replacement, you know exactly what a high-stakes financial decision this is. I mean, it's a massive upfront investment, right? And you desperately need it to pay off when those absolutely brutal Midwestern winters hit. So today, we're unpacking an Illinois savings guide. We're going to help you navigate this whole condensing versus standard boiler dilemma just to make sure you get the absolute best bang for your buck. So let's just cut right to the chase. The crucial question here, and honestly the main reason we're even talking about this today, is simply, will a condensing boiler actually save you money? We all know the absolute pain of opening up a massive heating bill in the dead of an Illinois January. It is the worst. And the dilemma is real, because condensing systems definitely come with a higher upfront price tag than your standard units. So does the math actually work out in your favor over time? Well, in a lot of cases, especially if you're swapping out an older, less efficient unit, the answer is a resounding yes. But to really get why, we need to look at the mechanics.
Section 1, the Great Boiler Showdown. To figure out why the math works out, we've got to break down the fundamental mechanical battle between these two types of units. Look, they both have the exact same job, which is to heat your home, but they go about it in completely different ways. Now, a standard boiler generates heat during fuel combustion, sure, but then it essentially just vents any remaining unused heat straight up your chimney. That is wasted energy literally floating away into the sky. A condensing boiler, on the other hand, it's engineered specifically to capture that additional heat by condensing the water vapor right inside its own exhaust. It is literally squeezing every last drop of usable heat out of your fuel before it can escape. Section 2. How condensing boilers work. Let's take a look under the hood to really understand the specific technology that makes these modern units so incredibly efficient, especially compared to that old cast iron dragon of a boiler that might be, lurking in your basement right now. Basically, a condensing boiler is designed to capture additional heat by condensing water vapor in the exhaust. So instead of paying to heat the clouds above your house, the system takes that exhaust vapor and turns it back into liquid water. That physical phase change recovers a massive amount of latent heat, which the boiler then grabs and directs right back into your home's heating system. It's actually pretty brilliant. And the crucial takeaway here is that you're meeting your home's heating demands while burning less natural gas. The key driver of your lower operating costs is simply that efficiency. During a freezing Illinois cold snap, this condensing process translates directly into burning significantly less fuel just to get the exact same amount of warmth in your living room. By squeezing more usable heat out of that exact same amount of fuel, your overall efficiency ratings climb considerably.
Section 3. Variables that impact savings. Okay, now for a really crucial pivot. I need to tell you that simply buying a top-of-the-line condensing boiler doesn't automatically guarantee you massive savings. The real world just isn't a perfect laboratory, right? There are several key factors impacting your real-world savings. Upgrading from a dinosaur of a boiler, that'll give you the largest gains for sure. But you also have to factor in your fuel type and local pricing, because natural gas costs really drive the math here. System sizing is another huge one. Oversized boilers and poor controls can drastically reduce your efficiency. And of course, there's installation and maintenance. Proper venting and correct gas settings are absolutely vital to keep performance right at the manufacturer's rated level.
Now, there is one variable in particular I really want to highlight for you. Lower return water temperatures equal better condensing performance. This is literally the secret sauce for efficiency. You're going to get the absolute best performance from these units when you pair them with setups that naturally allow for those lower return water temperatures. We're talking things like properly set up baseboard systems, low temperature radiators, or radiant floor heating. If the water coming back to the boiler is cool enough, it triggers that highly efficient exhaust condensation process way more frequently.
Section 4. Predicting your payback timeline. All right, it's time to connect these HVAC concepts directly to your wallet. We can predict your payback timeline by looking at a few different scenarios. You're going to see a much faster payback if you're replacing an older, super inefficient unit, if you have a pretty stable winter heat demand, and, crucially, if you have lower return temps combined with good reset controls. Conversely, your savings are going to be much more modest if your setup, like older radiator systems or poorly matched thermostat controls, forces the boiler to run continuous high water temperatures. In those high temp scenarios, the boiler just condenses less frequently, which severely narrows its financial advantage over a standard model.
Section 5. Estimating real-world costs.
Before you sign any contracts or hand over a deposit to anyone, let's look at a practical, actionable framework for exactly what you need to do. First, compare your estimated annual energy consumption using the new boiler's rated efficiency against your local gas rates. Get a real baseline. Second, ask your installer for a load calculation. This is often called a manual J. Seriously, do not skip this step. Getting the sizing exactly right is absolutely critical. And third, plan for proper reset controls so the unit actually operates in its most efficient condensing range. You aren't just buying a piece of equipment, you're setting up an entire system.
The bottom line from our source material is super clear. As they put it, in Illinois, condensing boilers often save more over the life of the unit because they convert more fuel energy into heat delivered to your home. Correctly sized, perfectly installed, and intelligently controlled condensing units, they are generally the long-term financial winners for cold weather climates. The longevity of that fuel conversion process is exactly what makes the math work in your favor.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative question. Think about the unit running in your house right now. Is your current setup sending your hard-earned savings right up the chimney? I'd highly encourage you to take a quick trip down to your own basement, take a hard look at the equipment you're actually working with, and maybe reevaluate your entire home heating strategy before the real cold sets in. After all, knowledge is power, especially when we're talking about your home's infrastructure.